Hello, class. So today I'm going to go over APA citations, which is the main format we're going to use for English 102. Other than APA, you might have used MLA citations, and I use them in some of my classes. But I'm starting to switch over to APA, not because I like it more, but because students are asked to use APA more often than MLA. And I want to make sure everybody is on the same page, and no matter where you go or what you're doing, you can use APA citations. And so everybody is on the same level when it comes to this. So let's get into it. So APA just stands for American Psychological Association. MLA, I think it's Modern Language Association. It's commonly used in social sciences, but like I said, almost everywhere. Every class is probably going to ask you to use APA for the most part. MLA will only really happen if you take like a literature course. Otherwise, it's APA all the way. And honestly, it's used the most because it just makes things clear and concise with where you cited sources and what exactly you cited from a given source, especially if it's like a direct quotation. So, general formatting guideline is just a standard document that you would have in a Word or anything like that, or a Google Doc. It's double spaced, it has 1 inch margins on all sides, which usually is the common thing that you would have. You really don't have to mess with this, the 1 inch margins, but just know that it does have that. And the font and size that's usually recommended is Times New Roman 12-point font size. Unless stated differently by your instructor, just follow that. Just make sure it's Times New Roman 12-point font. So one thing that's different from APA over MLA is that you have a title page, kind of like a cover page before you get into your actual essay or whatever you have to write. So it just includes the title of whatever your paper is, whatever that you want it to be titled, then your name under that. Then under that will be the institution of where you're writing this paper. So for us, it'd be Olympic College. After that would be the course name, the numbers. So whatever your course it is, and in our case, it'd be English 102. And then the numbers always on the top left of whenever you go into a course on Canvas. So whenever you go to Canvas and you go into a single course, it says English 102 or whatever the course is. And then right next to it is a number. That's the number that it means here. After that, under that, will go the instructor. And after that, the instructor's name. So it'd be Pierre Ariano. And then after that would be whatever the due date is for this given assignment. And so that's the title page. And I'll show you an example of this here in a second. After you're done with your paper, because after you have a title page, then you have your paper as normal. Then after that, of course, you have your references page, and which is called references for APA. MLA, it's called works cited, but for APA, it's references. You'll have what you see here, an example. A centered references, and you bold it. You'll have a page number, which, by the way, you do have page numbers. Oops. Um, for APA citations, and then you'll have an indent for your second line, given this kind of look here. So here's the first citation. You'll notice it's not indented. Here's this the other part of that same citation, and everything else is cited. And that way you can see that this is the first, this is the second, etc. So it's in alphabetical order, depending on this here. You start a whole brand new page separate from your actual paper. It's double space, and the first word of it is capitalized. The title is. So notice what we have here. How will the Arctic survive? That's the title of this source. Notice that it's capitalized, just the first letter. Everything else is lowercase, just for the title. And so that's the references page. That's what it looks like here. But let's take a look at what would it look paper and APA style completely. So let's stop sharing this PowerPoint here. Let me share my Firefox. Let's close this page here. Well, I will just go over. So here is the example for an APA paper. This is what it would look like. Ignore this gray bar. This is only here because there's comments here for this paper to kind of help elaborate on what APA citations would look like. But whatever the case, here is the cover page or title page, whatever you want to call it. So you'll notice here, this is the title of what they wanted to call this paper. There's usually like two spaces in between. It's just what APA asked for. Fine, whatever, right? Um, you'll notice there's a page number here, and that continues on to the actual paper itself. So anyways, you have the title here. Then you have your name, whatever the name is, and then you have whatever the school is. So here we have accessor university, you'll just put Olympic College. Don't worry about this right here. Later on, maybe you have a specific program that you put that in the actual university, but for us, just Olympic College. And then you have English 101 in this case, but you'll have English 102, and then whatever the case is here, the section. And then Dr. Elizabeth Smith is the teacher. So for me, you just put PRRNO, and then whatever the due date is for this paper. In this case, it was August 1, 2022. You put whatever the due date is for whatever given assignment. So after that, that's the cover page, the title page, whatever you want to call it. It's just double spaced. It should look just like this. And then comes your paper proper, right? So you'll have your title again, whatever, you just copy and paste it over from here. And then you go into your paper proper. Here's just showing you different ways of citing things in APA. So here we have a actual um, source that's used. So it says in the article for Newsweek parenting column Springen. So here's the actual source, wherever they got this from, and then they cite it here in 2008. So that's where it's come from because APA, what they want is always the author and the year. There's so year is like the main thing. It's the important thing. It's what they want. So here they mentioned the author, so they put the year right afterwards, and then they quote this author, and so then they have para one. And the reason they have para one is because this is what I'm thinking is, let's go look into it on the references page here. Um, yeah, it is an online article that doesn't have page numbers, but they still need to cite something. So they cite the paragraph in which they got this direct quote. Because if you cite a direct quote, you need to cite either the page number or in this case, the paragraph. It's a requirement of APA. So they got this from the first paragraph, I'm assuming, of their source. And so that's what they have here. After that, they have just more examples of citing your source. So here's a good one of citing your source and with the page number. So here you have in his essay, The Branding of Ethical Fashion Consumers. So he introduces the essay, author and industry expert Nathaniel Beard, and then they give the year right after they mention their name. And then they quote whatever that is that they wanted to quote from that article, and then they give the page number here, page 450, which is perfect. Again, you would do paragraph if you don't have it. Usually a paragraph wouldn't be 450, but it'd be like maybe paragraph 8 or whatever. And then we do that if it's an online article that you wanted to use a direct quote. Now, if you don't use a direct quote, that's fine. You would just have the year. So here, just more examples of what the article would look like. And then here's some more in-text citations. You may want to look at this. You'll have access to this article, by the way. This is an example, which I'll show you where to get this. So let's just go through this. This is just their paper, written just as normal. Just notice that the formatting here, you have your four up there. Here's a good example of them just using somebody's uh, information, but they just have to just mention it here. It's from Dishman 2013. And then here they use a direct quote, so they have to give the paragraph 3. And then, yeah, so that's the end of that. And then here, after they're done with their paper, they make a whole new page. And then here we have references. So references, and then here's where they list the references, which I'll go into here in a second in alphabetical order as I showed you in my PowerPoint. But that's exactly how an APA paper should be formatted in APA. You'll have, like I said, a cover page with this information, your actual paper. You'll make sure to have the title up here again, and then you'll have page numbers in the upper right-hand corner. You will then also cite your sources in APA in this format. They always want the author, and then, of course, the year. That's the most important thing. And then if you cite a direct quote, you need to make sure to have a page number or a paragraph if it doesn't have page numbers, because maybe it's an online article or something like that. After that, your paper is done. You will then have a references page. And that's a good example of an APA paper that you will submit to me. So all of your major assignments will be in APA, and it should be in this format. That's going to be important as whenever you're asked to do APA paper throughout your college career, this is what they're asking you to do. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint here real quick. Okay. So we did an example there. So here's some in-text citations and how to cite correctly in case you are if you ever cite inside of your paper, as you kind of saw in that example, this is what you would need to do. If you paraphrase information, you simply need to just cite their last name and then give the year of whenever it was done. If you use direct quotes, like I mentioned, there's going to be two ways. If you use the same kind of thing, though, it's going to be kind of like this, but you also need to include the page number and then or a paragraph if case it doesn't have a page number. So you're going to have one or the other if you use a direct quote. In case you have two authors for whatever reason, here's like the template. It would just be the first author, then the last author, last name's author, then the same thing, the year. And of course, if you do a direct quote, then you would have to have one of these two. And then you have three or more authors, you just do this. You just do author et al. And then the year, just like always. All this means is Latin for and others. So you just credit the first author's name, whoever is listed first, and then you just do this et al. 2004. So this is going to be pretty much what you're going to see for direct quotes in the text, not direct quotes, I'm sorry, it's for citing inside the text with APA. But how do you cite stuff in the references page? Well, this is where we get into certain things like books. So let's just start with books. Maybe you're going to cite, for instance, our book, the Bedford Researcher, when it comes to some of your papers. That's fine. This is how you would do it. I have the template here. So author, whatever the author is, year of publication, title of work, capital letter, also for the subtitle and publisher name. So for instance, Stoneman R, so last name and then the initial, the first name, then whatever the year is, whenever it was published, then Alexander the Great, A Life of the Legend, and then Yale University Press. So that's the publisher name. That's a book. Web page with an author, similar. So last name of whatever the initial is for their first name. And if they have a middle name listed, then you do the same thing. If you don't worry about it. Then year, month, date, title of page, site name, URL, which is the web address, right? So it'd be Price D, no middle name, so fine, we don't have an initial. 2018, March 23rd. Laziness does not exist. And notice that only the first, even if all this was capitalized in the actual article, you only capitalize the first letter of this first word. Medium is the site name or where they got it. And then, of course, whatever the URL is, just copy and paste it as it is. Now, web page with no author. Okay, so you still have to have an author per se, you know. So you use the group name of whatever you can find, and then year, month, date, title of page, site name, URL. So in this case, we have no author, so we use the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Maybe that's the whole group name of that article or the creator of that website. And then, so that's like our author in this case. And then we would have the date, just like normal, 2019, November 21st. And then whatever the title was, justice is served, case closed for over 40 dogfighting victims. Notice that what I said before, though, when it comes to capitalizing, if there's a colon because there's a like a subtitle, you would do the same thing in which you capitalize this, then you have the colon, then you subtitle it again, or not subtitle, I'm sorry. You capitalize the subtitle, the first letter of the first word, and then the rest is all lowercase. And then, of course, give the site name, which I think is missing here, actually. It should be something like, let me actually, sorry, let's do the site name. I think it's missing here. ASPCA, which is American Society for, so it'd be just this. Animals. You would just do it listed again like this here. Yeah. And then, of course, the URL. YouTube, you might use a YouTube video because maybe there's a video for your first assignment, the superhero paper, where you kind of want to learn more about whatever character, and maybe you find a really good video that you want to use as a reference. Great. This is the way you would do it: last name, full name, middle name, or more likely, it's going to be a username, right? You might not have this information here. There might not be an author listed because most YouTube videos don't have actual authors. They have like usernames or a group behind them. So you would put the group or username behind them in brackets here to let the reader know, this is a username. It's not what it might be the actual person, because maybe it's a group that's doing this video or just someone who uses a username like the name. A lot of people use whatever name they want to use on YouTube instead of using their actual name, which is fine. This is just how you would do it. So if you do have an author, great. Last name, full name, just like before, but then you would have their username, which is they're going to have a username of some kind. Year, month, date, title of whatever the video is, and then you mention it's a video by putting in brackets, streaming service, whatever the streaming service is, most likely YouTube, but there might be others, and then the URL. So in this case, we have Lucy K, and then Korab Lucy is what their username is, and then the date, then whatever the actual title of the video, and then make sure it's in bracket videos, then YouTube, and then of course the URL, the link, the web address. But like I said, most likely there's not going to be an author in any of this. So it's going to look mostly like this, which is totally fine. And that'll be that. And so that's the most common things you're going to see in whoops. What's gonna oh whoops. That's weird. Why is it doing that? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Um, but that's the most common ones you're probably going to see you're going to use in my class are those are for your papers are a web article with no author, and then a YouTube video or some kind of video service that you're going to find to cite your sources, which is fine. More importantly, though, is let's close this guy. We don't need the PowerPoint anymore. Don't save any. I'm going to share. Let's go back to Firefox. More importantly, it's going to be the let's see. Oh, let me go over here for some reason. Let me stop sharing for just a second. I don't know what this is doing here. Okay, there we go. Sorry, something was going on with my video. Um, all right, let me share this again. Okay. All right, so this is what I want to show you here is this lecture page that I have for you guys. To access it, it should be right under your this site, this video here under lessons. So you'll have the PowerPoint here as you always do under, but under that is actually a lecture page here that I want you to click. And then here this page has such great resources for you guys about APA citations and documentation style. There's these three videos that are really short. I'm not going to, of course, go through them in this video, but they're
This
about
short
like
video.
this one's like 2 minutes long, and this one shows you about like an introduction about APA. This one's about in-text citations, which I kind of went over, and then the references page. Great resources to use throughout your college career if you ever need like a refresher in APA. But what's also great is this great APA template that you should use for my classes in any class that needs an APA citation paper. Look, here is a great template. Use it, please. Copy and paste it over to the Google Doc, and then because remember you have to use Google Docs first, but then you'll download it as a Word file. But here is exactly what this is should be for your APA papers. So here's what it should look like. Like I said, your title, your whatever your name, Olympic College, English 101 section, whatever, or English 102 section, whatever, Pierre Ariano, and then of course whatever the due date is. And then here's where your paper's going to go. Again, copy and paste your title here. You already have page numbers here, so that's great. And then here's your references, and here's your references page, excuse me. And then here's some examples of what they might look like in any kind of format, maybe in a book, in a web page, and a journal article, which you'll know what those are for a second assignment on. But either way, this is a great template to use. Please use it. This is also a great resource to use. Here's a handout about integrating sources. Here's some APA pages, documentation site, avoiding plagiarism, all this great stuff. And here's that paper I showed you earlier in earlier in the video about like how to see what it should look like. And there's other ones here that you may want to look like. Here's this other one about a different topic. Let's preview that one. And it's just a APA paper and what it should look like overall. Same thing. And with some comments on the side about how they integrated sources and stuff like that and what the references look like. Whatever the case, this page here is such a great reference on using APA, and it has some great sources for you guys to use on how to document your uh, sources in your papers. So how to do a journal article, which again, you're going to know how to do that, how to do a video, like what I covered, how to do it in text citation, or how to do it inside the narrative. So, which is a great way, instead of just having it always at the end, having kind of like including according to Ezekiel, and that works just fine instead of having to cite at the end of your sentence, you cite at the beginning of your sentence, which is totally fine. An online book, great, and how to do it in different ways, and then how to cite that as a particular chapter, how to cite the paragraph or the page number, whatever the case is, right? A video, a web page, a book, page number, whatever the case, it has so many great resources for you and citing APA citations. Use this. Okay. My video is a great introduction that I'm having here, but this will really help you master how to cite. And of course, we'll practice by you writing your papers in this class, and me, of course, looking over your APA citations and helping you fix them when I look over your papers proper when you hand them into me through Canvas. Either way, that's it for this video about APA citations. Please let me know, of course, as always, if you have questions or and if you need further help with APA, contact me. Let's set up a Zoom meeting and we'll go over your sources and what you're having trouble with. Otherwise, thanks so much for joining me on this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye.